Coming up on Theater Talk.
The American Theater Wing controls the copyright to the Tony Award. I mean, that gives you the central power.
Well, actually, we have a new, bonding, and we both control the copyright.
A co-copyright.
It's a co-copyright at the moment.
Well, you watch out for those producers, because producers that get their hands on something,
that.
sweetheart.
Thanks, Michael. I'll take a note.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation. From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
Michael, we have the new president of the American Theater Wing, who happens to be the most fabulous costume designer in the history of the Broadway stage.
Oh, whoa. Well, I was going to say, Susan, that we've had some pretty powerful people on Broadway on this show, but no one radiates the power that this man does. He is the new chairman of the American Theater Wing, which controls the Tony Awards. He is also one of the great costume designers, Mr. William Ivey Long, who's designed the costumes for Hairspray, Chicago, 9, Crazy for You, the producers, 5 Tony Awards, and now, William, that you are the chairman of the American Theater Wing, can you rig it so that you can win a 6th Tony Award somehow?
Absolutely, and I can go back in time and do it retroactively.
You could win for the stuff that you didn't win for.
I plan to win for Guys and Dolls, and for, let's see, I have a whole small side list.
You should have won for Guys and Dolls, because that, I think, well, 9 is the show that really established you in this racket as a costume designer. But I remember vividly your costumes for Guys and Dolls, and if I'm not mistaken, even Frank Rich in his review singled out the brilliance of those costumes for that revival with Nathan
But you beat
Lane.
yourself for Guys and Dolls.
That's right. Crazy for You was
You
the
won
same
that year.
You won.
Why is it we remember all of our bad reviews and we don't remember the good reviews? So I actually don't remember that. I just remember your reviews. No, I'm kidding.
Have you ever gotten a bad review, though, for your costumes? Ever?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right, you remember one?
I'll do the best review. No, I actually have remembered the best. In fact, I made it the title of my catalog, my first exhibit of my work. John Simon.
Right.
Wrote that William Ivey Long's costumes hover between taste and travesty. And it seared itself on my brain, and I thought it was a bad review at first, but of course now I've made it the title of my catalog, and I thought, gosh, he gets me.
It's true.
So I remember that one. So
for people who don't know, and I can't imagine there's anyone out there who doesn't know what the American Theater Wing is, can you give us a little sense of it and what you want to do with this venerable organization?
Oh, goodness. Well, the American Theater Wing was founded under a previous name in 1917, actually, to support the American troops during World War I. Mm-hmm. And we subsequently have been very sort of armed forces oriented. We created the Stage Door Canteen.
The famous Stage Door Canteen.
The famous Stage Door Canteen.
During World War II was the American Theater Wing.
That's absolutely creation, and you can imagine Marlene Dietrich ladling soup and like that, Alfred Drake washing dishes, and so that was back then. Mm-hmm. And then after the war, they with no more bandages to wrap, they thought, well, we're all together, we're organized, we're actually speaking to each other. You know, people in the theater sometimes do. And why don't we put on a show, as it were? Mm-hmm. And they created an award named after Antoinette Perry, who had been their chairman and had just died, actually, the previous year. And they started awarding. 1947 was the first year.
1947 was the first Tony
Award.
Award.
First year.
And then
now we co-administer it. We put it on with our friends, the Broadway League. Yeah. And so it's a 50-50 presentation.
But the American Theater Wing controls the copyright to the Tony Award. I mean, that gives you the central power.
Well, actually, we have a new, bonding, and we both control the copyright.
A co-copyright.
It's a co-copyright at the moment.
Well, you watch out for those producers, because producers that get their hands on something, sweetheart.
Thanks, Michael. I'll take a note. So, but we did found it, and it still is ours. Yes.
But in addition to the Tony Award, I mean, you are a nonprofit, a charitable organization.
Correct.
And you have a history of doing this great work for the troops. And you and I have spoken about this before. You're from the South.
I am, North Carolina.
And you support the troops in the South, right?
We do.
Is there anything that the American Theater Wing could start doing again for the guys who are fighting our wars in Afghanistan, who are coming back from Iraq? Is there another kind of a stage door canteen or something that the American Theater Wing could do for our...
Well, you put your finger right on a very interesting topic. Actually, many people have been asking us this, and there is a stage door canteen, a museum down in New Orleans, I think, and so we have to sort of share the name with them at the moment. But yes, there's quite a bit of interest in that, and actually we've been talking to several real estate people in the around the Times Square area to see if we can find a place. Absolutely, you are very timely.
That's a wonderful.
But I didn't finish your answering your question. We also present other awards, not just the Tony Awards. We present the National Theater Awards. Lucy Arnaz is the head of that committee and that whole energy around the country, all around the United States. We are the American Theater Wing. Yeah. And we also do a lot of, podcasts are for the radio. We do television. You were referring earlier.
The American Theater Wing seminars.
That's right.
And you do
Downstage Center is our newest one.
Oh.
And my favorite one that we just did, wonder why it's my favorite, Tom Schumacher filmed A Quick Change backstage, because no one really knows what happens backstage. We sometimes don't even.
Right.
But
I do.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I usually do.
And
I know what's going on backstage.
This is a minefield right here. But so far I'm pretending like no one's
Come
listening.
on in, William.
But I just
There we
put
go.
it, they do that show right here in QD3.
But also,
that's correct.
But also, a very important thing the Wing does is that you get young kids, students around the city excited about the theater. You bring them to shows, you organize events and seminars for them, and you've got another new program or something.
Springboard NYC. It's actually in its somethingth year, and it's really excellent. And I've sat in on several, and then I've actually been an interviewer with several actors on it, and students come to New York and
from around
the entire country, and they meet agents. They have classes in auditioning. They have classes in how to find an apartment, how to budget your meager earnings. In other words, how to begin.
Let me ask you.
We all want to help everybody. We want to help the next generation, and want to help sometimes this generation if they get off track. And
Let me ask you about your beginnings, though. When did you first come to New York? I mean, where did you live? Did you have any money? What were you doing here? Did you come here to be a costume designer?
No. I had gone to the Yale Drama School,
right,
or the Yale School of Drama, it is formerly called. I was in the Brewstein years,
right, Robert
Brewstein. So I came to New York and I thought, okay, where should I go to where is it happening? Because I'm sort of a quiet, unassuming sort, and I wanted to, throw myself right into the deep. So I moved right to the Chelsea Hotel. And which is the deep, especially back then.
Circa what,
1975.
Well, that was the
1975 to 1980.
Well, it's amazing you are still sitting here.
You're still alive. Wait, I love that. What was it, the Chelsea Hotel? What was it like a Southern boy walks into the Chelsea Hotel in 75? What was that like?
And Stanley Bard met me at the door, and I just said I'd like to live here because I would like to apprentice myself to Charles James, the great couturier, who lived on the 6th floor. And I wanted to learn, I wanted to continue my training. So I had been in college for 10 years, and I wanted to continue. So I said, I've come to work with Charles James. Well, Mr. James is a very private person. He said, well, it took me 6 months to stalk him. And then after I finally got his attention, I worked with him actually for the next 4 years until he died.
Really?
And I learned an awful lot at the Chelsea Hotel, and also how to survive New York, what New York was. I mean, I still don't know some of those things, but it was certainly a very good starting point.
Yeah. So were you thinking of being a fashion designer?
Yes, that was
costume designer?
one of my, yes, absolutely. I was looking into that.
How did you drift into?
Well, my friends who had been directors in my class, this is really how people get started, which is why we try to have these Springboard NYCs and the intern programs at the American Theater Wing, is because it's really people knowing you.
Yeah.
It's sort of unfair, of course, but if someone knows you, the best way to get work is at the 11th hour, in a pinch. If someone needs help, it's not quite done, the paint hasn't arrived, so-and-so is stuck in traffic, and whenever you get a call like that, that's golden, because you can come in and help somebody, and people call the people they know.
Right.
So actually my friends who had been directors of the Yale Drama School, and we worked at this weekend cabaret or the summer cabaret.
And nobody has any money, and
right, and come do it for free.
Together,
and I had 2 rooms at the Chelsea, and one you could move all the furniture, and I could use as a cutting table. And I used to make costumes on the floor, and people knew I could do this, and I had a sewing machine. Yeah. So I would get those calls, seriously.
Now, you have some other mentors, too, a wonderful costume designer who I adore her, Willa Kim.
Oh, Willa Kim, my dearest friend.
Willa took you under her wing.
Oh, she did indeed. She did indeed. She remembers me being very rude to her at the beginning. I was just in shock when she spoke to me. She said, and he didn't speak to me. He wouldn't even answer my questions. And I was going, this is the great Willa Kim. And I still have that feeling every now and then. I'm going, pinch me, Yeah. I'm great friends with her now, and it's just great going places. She's the best date on the planet to anything theatrical, music, dance, ballet, because everyone knows her.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, worry about the evening, because you'll be in the center of it all because of Willa. She's just the greatest artist working in the theater today, I think.
I want to get to the subject of costume design, because I think if I can get you to explain to us how you approach your job. I know you brought some sketches here for Cinderella, which is about to open on Broadway.
I did.
Do you think of yourself as a dramatist in the sense, or a dramaturg when you're reading the play and developing?
Did I tell you that? That's exactly what I
No,
think.
but I mean, if you look at the characters, you really study it, and from that comes your ideas.
I do think that. I think we're there as a service industry. Mm-hmm. We provide raiment to cover the body and to help people become someone else. That's what I often think. And no, we study the script. I think we have to be dramaturgs, which is why I chose the drama school, because it has an excellent dramaturgy program and a wonderful playwriting program and directing program. So, and I took as many of those classes as I could audit. They also took business management. So costume designers would audit business managing, and that was very important too. Oh, so yes, I think reading the script is the most important thing one could do in one's life, and it always begins with the play and the written word, and then the director's interpretation of it.
Right.
So,
but I've been
not without the director.
And you really immerse yourself, especially if you're doing a period piece. I was there when you were working on the costumes for Edwin Drood, which are a terrific show too, and you had all the Dickensian prints put up. So you surround yourself in the world that you're going to be
I thought it was important. So we because Edwin Drood was unfinished, and it was a novel, I thought, well, let's put all the illustrations of every one of Dickens' novels up on the wall, every one of them. So we did that. We filled, like, I don't know how many boards with, whoever had done the steel engravings. And because I thought that would give us an interpretation, especially when it was contemporary. I mean, it was happening right then. Right. When he wrote it. And we now look back at a lot of research, and it's long ago and far away, and oh, look at those funny bustles. Right. But it was a live story, a recent contemporary story. Right. So I thought the more of those sort of contemporary, just what you'd expect people to be wearing in the street type of illustrations would really help us. And they did indeed. They really did indeed.
Now for Cinderella, you brought a few sketches here.
I did. Now, of course, this is total fantasy world. And I will show you two now. Can I hold these up? Yeah. I can make them dance.
So now these are, I love the glitter. Fabulous.
Well, I see that's how you
preliminary
can dance.
sketches you did, right?
These are very preliminary. This is Cinderella. You notice she's not gray. She's a nice sort of Bruegel-inspired lassie here. And then here she is after the fairy godmother has granted one of her wishes, and this is going to the ball. Now, these are not working drawings. These are sort of idea drawings. This is an idea drawing as well. This is the same, you see. This one, I don't know whether you can tell which came first. Actually, these are like 6 months apart. So I did come back to it.
Although she's beginning to get more of a face in this later drawing.
Yes, she is. So there you have it. And then I also do such things as, what is the arc of her character? So Cinderella has all of these dresses in the show. I didn't bring the finished ones, but...
Ooh.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So you see she starts from here. Everything with glitter.
This is Bride Cinderella?
The bride, yes. She marries... Well, spoiler.
Now I'm going
to have to go home. I'm sorry. You all are ruined. People are going to ask for their money back. I don't know about you all. Don't you know about the theater?
Again,
my
William,
goodness.
your process of first sitting down to get to the
Yes.
sketch, what takes you there?
I draw, research. Also, when you create, I've only done a very few productions that were in fantasy world. In other words, where are we? It's an invented magical land. And Siegfried and Roy at the Mirage actually was the first one I ever worked on because they landed in a certain place and defeated the forces of evil and brought goodness and kindness to the world.
And I bet it really came in handy, your dramaturgical training.
My dramaturgical
for
training.
that one.
Oh my goodness, it certainly did. I went deeply back in time. And no, but Siegfried, they are great people. And actually part of the dramaturgy was getting to know Siegfried and Roy and who they are, because they are great humanitarians and great animaltarians and earthtarians. And so actually part of the dramaturgy, seriously, about a story about good and evil as told by two of the greatest savers of endangered species.
You know you've got to love somebody who loves cats like that.
You have to, and especially when they have this special language with cats and other animals. I mean, they're horses and elephants and mostly cats. And
did you costume any of the animals for them?
No, I costumed. I did some comparisons, which is the term for horse blankets and elephant blankets. But I was not allowed to measure them or get near them or fit them. So I had the measurements done for me.
You've been dealing with divas and
of all sorts
your whole life.
Of
You're
all
not
lengths.
afraid to go to near any of these animals. Come on.
Oh, I'm still afraid. I'm still afraid.
All right, tell us. Can you
Anyway.
tell us any of the great actors or actresses that you've fitted? Because it's a kind of an. thing.
You're going down this path.
No,
I can't write that book.
I know, but
we take a Hippocratic oath to protect the secrets of the fitting
Can you
room.
tell us anyone that you were intimidated by, though? Was there anybody?
Oh, I'm intimidated by many people until I really get to know them, and then only a few people after that.
Can you think of one that you went, oh,
You were really scared,
I
and then
can't
they
believe
turned
I'm
out to be.
costuming this person?
Marion Seldes.
Oh,
Let's start with Marion
our
Seldes.
favorite.
Why?
And-
What about Mary?
Why did you go, oh,
well,
that was
she's
the
marvelous.
reason. There's the answer. Well, this is Marion Seldes, she who's never missed a performance, you know. And
in no way arrogant. I mean, that's the most wonderful thing about her.
Not an ounce
she's
of arrogance.
Not an ounce
No.
of arrogance.
And totally in control. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be shown up as the fraud that I am. You know, she will see through me. You know, that's the sort of intimidation I mean when I go and I see people like this.
And of course, you can't tell us the ones that you thought, oh, what a total bleep up fraud this woman turns out to be.
When you deal with someone like Marion, because just her figure, the
Oh my
body
goodness.
must be fascinating for
We
you.
call
to
that a
design.
coat hanger. I mean, anything you put on, it's just, you know, flawless. And of course, her favorite color, purple.
Right.
So she, and talk about her script study. I did several, I think I designed all of Neil Simon's last 5 world premiere plays.
Really? Wow.
For some reason, I was the one at the, you know, hey you, come in. And one of them, I'll never forget doing, it was called 45 Seconds from Broadway.
Yes.
It all took place in the Empire Diner.
No, it was the Edison. The Edison.
The Edison,
Cafe.
what did I say? I'll say
The Empire Diner.
Empire Diner.
Ed-
Oops, sorry.
Edison, yeah.
Yeah, Edison. Whoops.
Where all Broadway hangs out.
E,
and
that's right.
Has matzo
And
soup.
correct. And Marion was part of a couple who would come in, and she was wearing a very specific fur coat, and I was meeting with the director Jerry Zaks and Neil Simon, of course, the great Mr. Simon, and I couldn't get it right. I couldn't references or this, and he says that's not right. I said, I've tried. Would you mind sketching it for me? Neil Simon sketched this fur coat for me, and he had described it as having been added onto by the owner, you know, with different pieces, making it longer, but different.
Patched up.
You patched up, sort of, and I didn't know because I thought it's not really a joke. It's not Joseph and the Amazing, you know.
It's not
patchwork.
Grisabella, the glamour cat.
No, it's
sort of.
not, and I couldn't understand it, and so he drew it for me, and then I took it to the fitting, and Marion and I poured over it and figured it out, and I had all these different pieces of, you know, coats, you know, and we sort of put it together
wonderful.
and
You
he
and
said,
Marion?
"Oh yes, that's it. When he saw it, he said, "Yeah, that's it." I thought, "Oh, gee, thanks, you know, help," you know. But no, he did. He sketched it for me.
You look like you're having so much fun with some of your things. For example, Hairspray, for which you won the.
Oh my goodness,
Was
Hairspray,
that
absolutely.
as fun for you to do as it looks, or was it really a trial?
Well, I always say fun is once it's open and you're doing the London production. That's fun.
And the checks are coming in.
Yes, that's it. That's fun. But no, when you've got a delicious, delightful story, which is about acceptance and tolerance and pushing the limit on civil rights and, you know, shapes and size issues and anti-bullying and Baltimore and the 60s and John Waters, for heaven's sakes, you get to meet John Waters.
I think your best work, though, is for Chicago, because you took something very simple, tuxedos, the women are in black, the men are in black, but you individualized each black outfit for the characters. And I thought that was a very subtle way of designing.
Well, it began back, I thank you for that, now in its 17th year. What does Barry call us? The longest running American musical?
Yes, Barry Weissler has come up with that for you.
Isn't that good?
That's right.
So, spoken in English? No, 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 it's great.
Yes.
It's I mean, again, candor and ebb.
But it began as a reading, not a reading, but as a concert.
We did the,
Encores,
the year before we did it, Walter Bobby and company started the Encore series at City Center. And he asked me to set up the costumes. And so it was book in hand, then as now. And it was we were just trying, and no one was doing them all over the country the way they are now. And it was to rediscover lost gems. And why did we lose them? And if we did, let's sort of fix that so the essence will come through.
Right.
So Chicago wasn't really a lost gem. So it came in the second year. We started with Fiorello, which hadn't been revived for a long time.
Which was terrific, I remember that.
Terrific, the first year. Yeah. And then Chicago, and we had like 2 weeks in which to do it. And I had $1,000 and a pair of scissors. And he said, and I had set up for the first Fiorello, I said the men are in tuxedos, the women are in cocktail or evening gowns, all black and white. And to make, so that you would study, it would be focusing on the words and the music, obviously. Right. And the choreography and like that. And, but so we were in the black and white from that very tight thing. And since I had set it up, I had to stick with it, don't you know? And but it was dance. You see, it was the first all-out dance.
That's right. Well, you can't do a Chicago Fosse musical without having
tuxedos,
to dance.
and you have and
you've got Anne Reinking and
exactly, and Bebe Neuwirth, and so he said, well, let's make it sexy. Let's make it refer to the 1929 Flappers, the original, you know, Roxy Hart. And let's also refer to Fosse, and let's refer to now. So those are the three periods, doing gangsters, but with bell-bottoms, Fosse bell-bottoms, and gangster hats, but yet Fosse, you know, energy.
Circa
and was
75,
challenging
too.
that. Yeah. And then we were doing, exactly. And we were doing the period in New York at the time, and Stretch and See-Through was all very in. And so I just got my scissors and my sewing machine with my stretch stitch and cut and pasted and put it on.
But this is very important. We got to wrap this up, but it's a very important lesson for young people, I think, going into this business to learn. And I know this is important to you because this is what the American Theater Wing does, that there are so many layers to these costumes. There are so many things you're talking about and thinking about. And it may look like a nice tuxedo to us, but underneath that is getting at Fosse, getting at the 1920 sensibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always, the only tuxedo in it actually is Billy Flynn. I would always have to go and purchase that because I could, but I would buy a size larger so that I could the shoulders would be bigger and I would nip it in because those were the gangster years.
Oh,
but contemporary clothes were they haven't been big 40s. So I would always take people and buy a
size too big
and just to nip it in, just to give that extra feel, and double-breasted, because I love the way it looks when a man puts his hand in his pockets with double-breasted. You know, you don't open up a double-breasted, you deal with it. And I do redesign variations for different actors and actresses, but I use the same fabric.
Always.
Well, for Roxy lace, I use the Roxy lace, but I can make it in different ways.
Right.
Mama Morton fabric is the same stripe fabric, but different interpretations. Some Kelly Osbourne is a different interpretation from you know, shall we just say someone else? And so we have a lot of fun with that. And I think people love going into Chicago for a few months because they get to do different things.
If I ever get into a William Ivey Long show, I want to know, do I get to keep the costume?
Not on purpose.
I bet a few have made their way out of the,
I'm just saying.
Out of the backstage when somebody's leaving the
saying.
show. All right. Delightful chat with you. William Ivey Long, one of Broadway's great costume designers, 5-time Tony Award winner, and the new chairman of the American Theater Wing. I love the idea for the Stage Door Canteen and doing something for our troops.
Thanks for plugging it.
Absolutely. Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Alan S. Gordon Foundation, the Corey and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.